And that's kind of what drove us to work as hard as we did, is because this is something that we love, something that we're passionate about. And that really is why we are successful today. And just the effort that we've continually put forth, because we know what kind of an impact we can have on other people's lives. And that's really what drives us. Maybe before I dive in here, help me understand the group a little bit better, so I can address and try to keep it on topic and keep it interesting for you guys. I want to try and provide as much value as I possibly can. I know you guys have talked and had multiple guests before, and I want to make sure that I don't disappoint. So maybe help me understand the group a little bit better.
Of course. Well, every single person that is in here, Jeff, they're part of the Millionaire Closer Academy. They're students of Mike. I'm sure you look at Mike Barron. Yep. So, we all were either in the rat race, we're looking to change our lives, we're looking to become entrepreneurs. Some are already entrepreneurs, just looking a way to scale up their businesses, sharpen up their sales skills. This is a sales academy, right? But the reason why we love to connect and network with other 2 Comma Club award winners is so you can all share your journey, right? I'm sure it wasn't easy to get to where you're at. And as the conversation that we had, you still looking to scale up your business even more, right?
Absolutely.
And share your story, since you're a kid, where you're from, what you went through, how did you started into the fitness, and, your education career, the whole corporate thing, and then how you started off your company, and that's it.
All right.
Make sense?
What's that?
Did it make sense? Or
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk to you guys today. I don't get too many opportunities to speak about my business other than a few times a year. So it's kind of cool to talk about it at times, but my journey is a little different than I think a normal entrepreneur's journey. I don't know if there is a normal entrepreneurial journey. I think it's something that we sometimes discover. I'm jealous of those that know it at a young age and never work for anybody. That wasn't me. I think I did what I thought I was supposed to do. I climbed the corporate ladder after having gotten my degree and going through college, which was a complete waste of time, in my opinion. But yeah, I like Fernando said, I had a job in the corporate world. I was working as a project manager, and fitness had always been a big part of my life, but it was never something that I viewed as actually a real career. It was just like, that's a side gig that you do while you're going to school to make some extra bucks. It's not a professional career. I need to get in the corporate world. I don't know. I'm sure you guys would agree with this, but the corporate world fucking sucks. It's cutthroat. They're trying to make their numbers look good, and sometimes you pay the price and you get laid off. And that's kind of what happened to me. And the company was failing anyway. I was on a sinking ship, so it wasn't completely didn't completely catch me off guard, but it was still a little unexpected because I was the only one doing what I was doing. And I was kind of coaching people on the side, just doing it. And my wife and I started this together, and it was just something we were doing because we were passionate about it. And that's kind of what drove us to work as hard as we did, is because this is something that we love, something that we're passionate about. And that really is why we are successful today. And just the effort that we've continually put forth, because we know what kind of an impact we can have on other people's lives. And that's really what drives us. But we are also, we all want to make money, right? We don't want to do this for free. Even though when I first started, I helped a lot of people for free. I was kind of cutting my teeth, figuring out how I can even do this. I had total imposter syndrome when I first started. I felt guilty even asking for a credit card. Because to me, a lot of the stuff that I knew that I was teaching them seemed obvious. Like, you know this stuff, right? So why are you paying me? Like, why would you pay me that? And I charged hardly anything when I first started. Definitely could have used the mentor when I first started, because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I had no idea. Figured it out as I went. And so I got laid off July of 2014. And that month was our biggest month with the training side of things that we'd ever had. It was like it was meant to have happened. And ever since then, we've been on a very linear upward trajectory, which fortunately it turned out that way, but it's not without very long days. Putting in the hours, putting in the effort, failing, but failing forward. And that's one thing that, I actually wrote a big article about this today. I haven't published it yet, but about perseverance and how important that is, because so many times if we face any adversity, we tend to give up. And even in my own physical journey, when I turned pro as a bodybuilder, to put this in perspective, the average bodybuilder does maybe 7 to 10 competitions ever. I did 40. And it took me 40 to turn pro. 9 pro qualifiers. And on that 9th one, I got it, but it was my 40th show overall. And this was over a 12-year period. And most don't do that. And I always say that there's nothing special about me. I'm not blessed with amazing genetics. I'm not particularly talented. I wasn't like a big kid growing up. Wasn't even particularly athletic, but I'm pretty stubborn. And I refuse to give up. And so that's what that led to my success with the physical side of things. But it also helped me. It kind of laid that foundation for everything else in life. And, like if I'm going to do something, I'm going to give it my all. And it really did start with that physical side of things, which maybe was based out of vanity. Maybe it was based out of insecurity. I'm not even sure what really got me started. But it was something that I was passionate about. And it was something that I feel like I could succeed with. And it was something that, like, if I put this much in, I'm going to get this much out. And it's almost like a 1-to-1 return. So if I can keep putting in this effort, then I'm going to keep getting this benefit back out of it. But it's so much more than what you see on the surface. And that's how I've always looked at it. So it's, what are the 3 big industries? Health, wealth, and relationships, right? And that's something that, like, almost every category of business falls into one of those 3. And maybe I'm a little biased, and I probably am, but I really do believe that health is the foundation of that. And if you have your health in order, then relationships tend to be in a better place, and your wealth and career and everything else tends to go along with that. And the lessons that you can learn as you master your health, master your fitness, translate into other areas of life. And is anybody familiar with 75 Hard? So it's a pretty extreme challenge. For anybody that doesn't know, this was created by Andy Frisella, but basically it's a free thing. You guys can look it up. It's not even a paid, you don't have to pay for it, but 2 workouts a day of at least 45 minutes. One of them has to be outside, no cheat meals, no alcohol, no exceptions. You have to read 20 minutes of nonfiction every single day. And this is over a 75-day period, right? Read 20 minutes a day. You have to take a progress picture every day. You have to drink a gallon of water every day. And I think they added in cold showers. That was a new thing. That wasn't a part of it when I first heard about it. But anyway, the thing is if you miss even just a teeny little bit, like maybe you only do 44 minutes instead of 45 minutes, you have to start over. And so, it's pretty cutthroat. It's rough. A lot of people don't make it. Yeah, it is. It's called 75 Hard. 75 Hard. 75. It's the number 75 Hard. Yeah, not 75 soft. Yeah, 75 Hard.
75 Hard.
Well, it ain't hard work to get soft, I'll tell you what.
Well, it's definitely living up to its name.
Well, the reason I'm talking about that program, I'm not promoting it or anything. I mean, I think it has a lot of criticisms about it, but because it is pretty extreme. But when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, well, I've done that. I think like times 10. But the whole purpose of that journey is to create this mental fortitude. It's not a physical challenge, even though there's a lot of physicality involved with the process and everything that's required to do it. But what you get out of it is the mental growth, the mental strength that allows you to overcome adversity, that allows you to overcome the bullshit of life that will constantly come at you from all angles when you least expect it. We're going through some bullshit right now. We're facing like crazy inflation. Everyone's talking about recession. Fuck that. Is everyone in a recession? No. There are some people that are maybe holding their collective breath, and they're holding on to their money, and they're a little bit scared, but they're letting fear dominate their thought patterns. You guys can't let that happen. You can't live in a place of fear and operate from a place of fear, because that's how you fail. And so that's something that, I even have to remind myself of that at times. And right now is a time of that as well. We started to see a little bit of dip in number of applications coming in. So we had to pivot and try new things. First couple of things we tried didn't work. But that doesn't mean we stop. It means that we try different things, and we keep trying until we do succeed, because there's always a way. And in any economy, you can make money no matter what. There's always a way. Some of the biggest companies, some of the most successful companies were started in a recession. So if any of you are having any of those thoughts or any of those doubts or any of those fears living in your mind, get them out of there, or use that as fuel to drive you to work harder. Because a lot of people right now, they're going to bury their head in the sands and be like, well, the business isn't doing well because, the recession, or because of the economy, or inflation, or, Russia's going to drop a bomb on us, or whatever. Right? We always have these things that can potentially dominate and just kill our productivity. But it really is, most of that's made up and fabricated inside of our own heads. And most of that stuff we have zero control over. Can you guys control inflation? No. Can you control what's going on over in Europe and Asia? No. You have no control over any of that. You have control over what you do, how you respond to those things, and what kind of impact you let them have on your life. And so that's that's a big thing. And obviously I use fitness as a vehicle to help people overcome those doubts, those limiting beliefs, and a lot of other things that impair progression in life that can lead to better wealth and better relationships in advancing your career. I do work with a number of entrepreneurs in a separate program where it's more about personal development. And most of the time, like 90% of the time, where these guys feel like they are just stuck. And these are dudes that they're worth 8 figures. Most of them. Most of the time, the answers are right in front of them. And they already have the formula. My job is to help them see what's right in front of their face, because it's usually right there. And it's just a matter of things that they've let go, that they didn't recognize, that they kind of forgot about over the years. And because of that, things shifted in their business, things shifted with their relationships, and things shifted with their health. And so with those guys, I definitely do incorporate health as a part of it, but it is not the primary driver. It's because it still all starts with what's going on up here. And so, like, for any of you that are having any sort of thoughts associated with fear, with doubt, with limiting beliefs, with even believing in yourself, like, am I capable of earning $1 million? If you'd asked me when I started this, if I could even come close to this stupid thing, I would have said, no way. That's really cool for those guys, but I'll never be able to earn that. Turns out I earned it a long time ago.
While you're standing there, you can't even see that thing. Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Right on.
Yeah. I don't even have it hung up. It's just sitting there on my credenza. But anyway, yeah. So that's kind of my big take home with everyone that I work with, is that most of the time you already know the answers. And even from a fitness perspective, which is obviously a big part of what I do, it still all starts in the mind. And it's not the physical work, yes, but we have to get ourselves to do the physical work. And there's a lot of limiting beliefs. There's a lot of, some people classify themselves and identify as like, well, I'm just a bigger person. And that's how my family's always been big, and that's how I'm going to be. That's up to you. It always is. Everything is a choice. And you have to make those choices on a daily basis. And really what it comes down to is the little habits that we do or don't do every single day. So if you're in it, and I think that's where we have to look more on a micro level rather than a macro level. and start to look at like the little things that we're doing in our lives that set us up for success, rather than like, I want to make $1 million. I want to make $1 million. Well, what leads to that $1 million? Well, it's probably like, related to each one of your businesses. Like for me, it's me making sure I'm interacting with people every day, making sure I'm keeping up with social media and producing new content every single day. It's just these little teeny habits. And then also controlling my mindset, constantly learning more. I'm in like 3 different mastermind groups. I'm in an entrepreneurial organization here locally. And I get invited to speak in multiple different locations throughout the US throughout the year. Well, that's starting this year finally again. Last 2 years, that's been a little bit, it's all been digital, but it's the little things. And I think we have to focus on those little things that we do every day that foster that environment for growth, that get rid of the limiting beliefs, and then open us up for massive success. So that, I guess, went off on a little bit of a tangent there, and I tend to do that. But my entrepreneurial journey, I did want to share this, because when you were asking about this, I'm like, I had zero vision when I started. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had no idea where this is going to go. I didn't even know what it could possibly even look like. The very first mastermind that I joined, I got kicked out of, which was a weird experience. I was at this big, huge summit event full of there was I don't know, 50, 60 speakers. And they, they did a pitch from stage, and I bought it. And I'm like, yeah, let's join this seven-figure mastermind with Bedros Keuilian. I don't know if you guys know who Bedros is. If you're not following him, I would definitely recommend it. He's a powerful individual. I get into the welcome lunch with him, and he's going around. Everyone's kind of talking about their business. They're sharing their revenue numbers. And I quickly realized after like the first 10, and there's like 50 people in this room. The first 10 people that share, they all own brick and mortar gyms. And I'm sitting here going, am I the only one that's online? Like, what the hell? And my numbers were actually better than anyone that had spoken so far. And so when it came to me, I'm like, I kind of explained my business. We do online coaching, and it's just me and my wife. And, I think at the time we were doing like 380K a year or something like that. And he looks at me, and he looks at me almost like with a puzzled look on his face. And he's like, you don't belong here. And I'm like, do you want me to leave? Like, what the hell? So do I get a refund? Because I just paid a whole bunch of money to be here. And he's like, no, you need to work with me one-on-one, because you have a very unique business model, which my business model now is a lot more common. But when I started, it wasn't. And nobody really was doing it. There was like a handful of people doing what I was doing. And I think that's part of the reason why we've been able to grow as much as we have, because we were an early adopter to online coaching, and we have it figured out. And one of the, he helped me kind of get past some of the growing pains that I was experiencing when we first started, and figure out the model that would work. And that's definitely one way how we got started, but we were still around 400K a year. It wasn't until we started expanding our team, and now we're a team of 15. And I honestly don't want a huge company. I want to because managing employees is a nightmare most of the time. Sorry. Yeah, it was, no worries, man. I didn't have a vision, and I just kind of figured out as I went, but it's a matter of like surrounding yourself with the right influences, the right people, being humble enough to take direction, to be coachable. And as long as you do that, and you never give up, you're guaranteed a success. And I truly believe that. And you get to choose what your guarantee is. You can choose to succeed by never giving up, or you can choose to fail by giving up. It's your choice, one way or the other. And I believe that's very much the perspective that you need to have when it comes to fitness too. Like so many people get frustrated if it doesn't happen as quickly as they want it to happen, or if you're not making as much money as you expected to be making at some point. But what does giving up guarantee? That you'll never get there. But if you don't give up and you keep going, you will figure it out. As long as you're continually putting effort in, and you learn from each failure that you have. Failures are not bad. You guys all heard the Michael Jordan story. That's like him getting cut from his high school basketball team was probably the biggest blessing in his entire fucking life. It taught him a lesson. Did it shut him down? No, it sent him back to work, and he worked his ass off. And obviously he became the greatest player of all time. So Anyway, any questions? kind of went on a bunch of different directions there, but any thoughts? Anybody have anything they want to ask?
Well, thank you so much, Jeff, for sharing your story, man. We always love receiving those bars, man. But do you want to open up the forum for Q&A now?
Yeah. Unless there's something else you wanted me to touch on, I'm happy to talk as long as you want.
We can start off the Q&A. Yeah, we can start off the Q&A, and that way these guys can ask any questions they have, and touch base on what you share, right? So,
cool.
Let's go. Nick, I know you had your hand raised for a little while, so if y'all can raise your virtual hands, and we'll do it in order, right? So go ahead, Nick.
All right, thank you so much, there, Fernando. So my question to you, Jeff, is we're definitely 100% with you on that, with the limiting beliefs and trying to grow as an individual to achieve your goals. What if you ever had an obstacle in your way, such that is something that's very difficult to overcome, such as like depression, and if you had, how did you get past that?
That's a really good topic. I spent an hour with somebody this morning, one-on-one, talking about this very thing, because it's something that, and this almost sounds cliche to say, because it's a lot of people in my family suffer from that, right? So I could take on that identity and be like, well, it runs in the family, and I think I did at an early age, and I think that in my early 20s into my late 20s, I suffered with that off and on. Went through some drinking, binging periods of time, never to the point of alcoholism, but definitely in a dark place, for a number of different reasons. And I have not felt a touch of that in about 15 years. I'm kind of aging myself a little bit, but as to how that is, or why that is, it really, what it comes down to, and I really believe that everyone should do this, is setting your day up for success, and setting the tone for your day by starting your day off on the right foot. So I have a very specific morning routine that I follow that involves a lot of stress management. So a lot of people, if you think about the typical person working a 9-to-5 job, most of the time they're starting their day off in chaos. They hit snooze, like, shit, I know I have 7 minutes to make it to the office, jump out of bed, stressed, throwing on clothes, grabbing a drink on the way out, and rushing to work. And every little thing could potentially like piss you off. Like even somebody cutting you off in traffic could like send you into a rage because you're on edge. Whereas the other way around could be like if you woke up, hours before you used to be at work, and you took like that first hour at least doing something for yourself, doing something to work on yourself. Don't worry about business. Don't worry about anything else related to that. Work on yourself so that you can set yourself up to succeed. And one of the things that from a stress management or depression or things like that really can be impactful is, and I fought this forever, because when I first hit, I'm like, that's super fucking cheesy. That's not me. But meditation. And you don't have to take a long time, and you're not going to sit there in the yoga pose with, your fingers out, but taking some moments to clear your head and just breathe. And I would recommend guided meditation. Just download the Headspace app or something like that, and use that to guide you through.
That's just a good app. I've seen some of those Headspace apps. Those are really cool. Yeah. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. You just get plagued with the dark side of your mind, and sometimes it can just be hard to escape. And let it just bleed into your reality.
So that
I appreciate that.
I want to keep going because this is an important topic, and I think a lot of people. I won't take too much time with each one, but the second part to that is I think that clears your head to some degree, but you may also inspire some thought. And so what I want you to do with that thought is to write it down. And and this was something that has been extremely therapeutic to me over the years, because sometimes we don't even realize what is swirling around in our heads. We don't recognize our own thought patterns. We don't recognize what those limiting beliefs are, or what is even stressing us, until we actually have to write it out. And I'm talking like pen to paper, not typing it out, not sit there and trying to go over it in your head. You will never be able to like create a complete sentence that way. And I think it's like required to do that. You need to write it out to get your thoughts clear and articulate that. And then you can actually start to recognize what those things are. And even just writing it down relieves stress. It's pretty amazing what it does. And it seems so stupid and simple. Believe me, I am not like this cheesy, like, yeah, you got to do affirmations and, tell yourself you're amazing. I think that can work for some people. It doesn't work for me, but the, doing things to manage your stress are super important. And everyone says like, oh, don't stress, just chill out. That's like telling somebody to calm down when they're super pissed off. What does that do? It makes them more pissed off.
Yeah, all that does is just make it worse, like shaking a bottle of soda.
Yeah.
It's like you tell
working
somebody
out's
who's
great stress
exaggerating.
relief too. Yeah.
All right, cool,
Yeah.
cool. Well,
That's good. Okay, we better move on.
Thanks, Nick, for the question. All right, this is my home girl, Angie. What's going on, girl?
What up, Fernando? Thank you so much. First off, Fernando, this is awesome. Jeff, thank you so much for taking time out to be here with us today and bless us with your presence and so much knowledge and all the gems that you dropped on us. My question is more so on the mental aspect as well. I wanted to know what switched for you mentally to help you overcome that imposter syndrome in your earlier days.
Oh man, that is a great question. I don't think there was one definitive moment. I wish I could tie it back to be like, that was the moment where I was like, I'm the shit,
Yeah.
And I still don't think that, right? But I think I had to prove it to myself that I actually could have an impact, a positive impact, and that I was worth what I was charging, even though I was way undercharging back in the day. And I think seeing that, and I think that I don't think that always is required. Sometimes it's just, some people are so firm in their beliefs, and they, whether they're delusional or not, they put that out there, and if they believe it so firmly, those fuckers are going to succeed every single time. But yeah, I don't feel imposter syndrome at all anymore, because I know that I can have an impact. I've been able to work with, and I have over 6,000 successful transformations. So I have plenty of evidence, so I can always rely back on that. But I think like, some of the same things, like positive self-talk is one thing, but like, doing things to manage your stress is part of those other things too. But surrounding yourself with the right people, managing your surroundings, managing your environment. I think, you guys being a part of this group, I'm sure it's a little bit different for all of you, but the fact that you are here and that you get together, I don't know how often this happens, maybe it's on a weekly basis or how often you communicate, but I think that in and of itself is very, very positive. And then seeing successes of others as other people are getting their wins, you should never be discouraged by somebody else's victory or somebody else's success. That should encourage you. So I think it's further proof that, oh my gosh, that guy's an idiot and he did it, so why can't I do it? Right? I'm sure none of you are thinking that, but you know what I mean? So I think it just, for me, it took some actual seeing some results to do it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great question, Angie. And hey, I appreciate you being here. I know this girl, she's a killer, man. She's a killer. All right.
Awesome.
Mr. Brown, I don't know. I don't want to chop off your name, my man, but
it's all right, boss. Yeah, so it's Nazian Brown.
All right. I like it.
Yeah, I also want to thank you too, Jeff, man. And I want to add to like what you just was saying about having that strong start to the morning, because I was watching this guy. He go about 19 keys on YouTube, and I just was looking for like them little inspirational videos, just as I ride, keep myself going and stuff. And he hit me with something I never really thought. He like, if you take a father or the man figure or the producer inside of the household or whatever, and you make them feel a little less, they start to like, it's like for the man, so to speak, the testosterone started to lower. So then it's like, you know, the feeling of success and that we win and that we got the mindset that we can win and we can do it boosts that testosterone, making us, you know, go out and be more productive and do more things and go get what we want. So when we start feeling like we can't do it and we don't, and, you know, we're not able to do it, that's why men's is more likely to start binge watching TV shows than a woman is. And she'll find out, okay, man, I got a big problem here. Let me find a solution. And men's are kind of sway away from it because their testosterone is lowering more and more. And I'm like, man, it woke me up a little more. So it started making me get up like, man, I want my testosterone level to be high. I want to be a real man. You feel me? So I'm
Absolutely.
like, yeah, I gotta get myself in order. But now my real question for you that I want to know is what can I do? Because I run a financial literacy education course where I teach people, you know, the language of the wealthy, to how to actually, you know, use taxes, how to utilize that, how to make they self, you know, generate more out of just them. So how could I grow that?
Well, you're probably dealing with a lot of people that have some limiting beliefs, I would imagine, right? Would you say that's probably one of the biggest obstacles?
Yeah, because like really right now I'm not making no money off of it. I provide the full services for free because I just want to touch as many people as I can get right now, because I really take a lot what Mike taught us throughout the Closer Academy, and I really apply it to my life. So he say make value of yourself first before, you know, get your frequency high, get yourself at that point where your vibration is helping other people. So I'm trying to do that now, but I want, you know, everybody want to make money off what they doing. So that's what I'm trying to figure out, like, how could I get it there? How could I erase some of them?
Well, you know, I think I told you I helped a lot of people for free when I first started too, because I didn't feel like, I almost felt bad about charging people. I don't feel bad about it anymore. And the thing is too, and I'm sure you've all heard the term, like, people who pay attention, right? So if people are investing in you, they're way more likely to take action on the advice that you're giving, because if it's free, they have no skin in the game, right? No skin in the game. So why would they take action on it? Like, yeah, I know this guy said he's going to help me, but like, I got other stuff going on. I'm busy. Who the fuck isn't? Everyone's busy. We're all busy, right? But I think, you know, once you feel comfortable enough, you feel like you have that skill set and you know that you can impact people, and you've seen that, man, charge, dude. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think you'll have a lot bigger impact on those people, because they're going to be financially invested in you, and then emotionally invested in it as well, because you're kind of throwing them a lifeline, right? You're there to help them out. Right. You're there to improve their life. But if they're not invested, they're not going to take action. They're just not.
Right.
All right. Appreciate
right.
it.
You may have that limited belief that maybe people won't pay you, but I promise you they will.
Yeah. No, that's
I got a few people who actually been there since the beginning of, like, the very first class that I did. And then I got people who will come in occasionally, but then I got people that just never showed up after like the second time. But then they still come hit me up on personal matters. Like most of them people is people who I knew before I started doing it. So they still come ask me, hey man, so how do I do this? Come to class. Like, I could have helped you figure out that same problem, but it's like I can keep their attention or something. And I think you just answered it. Yep.
Yeah, like Sean Adams had a mastermind last Saturday, and he says the first step to success is to show up, right? So just piggybacking on what you said, my bro. I appreciate the question, my man. All right, Yvonne, you up next. What you got? Are you muted? You're muted.
She's muted.
Okay, sorry.
No,
Hi, Jeff. Thanks
Hi.
for being here. I really appreciate your time. I have a couple things. I like the perspective that you had on what's the guarantee that you want to have, to ask yourself that, and it kind of shifts your thinking as to what you really need to be doing, because you're really looking at the outcome. You know, what do you really want out of it? What's the guarantee that you personally want to make yourself have? So that's a good one. Also, I want to know, getting started in your journey, did you have somebody in your corner supporting you, like a spouse, or did you always have somebody? Because I have nobody except this group, which I appreciate. I kind of don't want to share what I'm doing in the beginning of this journey with anybody, because I don't want anybody to have any limiting beliefs that bleed over into me, I think I'm the only positive person in my family or surroundings.
You're fearing some naysayers.
Yes, I have I'm separated right now with my husband, and we're heading toward separation for good, I hope, but he's the biggest negative person in my life. So of course he and his family are the most important people to keep out of this, because I don't want any negativity at all in this. They don't even know, he doesn't know I'm doing this. I'm doing it solely for me. It's hard to stay positive, when you're all by yourself. So.
Yeah. So I can't remember who I was talking about this with, but yes, I did have somebody, my wife and I started this together. And so I was fortunate enough to have, and she edified me all the time, whether I deserved it or not. But at the same time too, it's kind of like, it almost means a little bit less, because it's like, well, that's what you're supposed to say. Right. Well, not all spouses are like that, as you're an example of that. But I think that's, and I don't want to give any marriage advice, but usually any negative people that are around you that are dragging you down and not pushing you forward, you need to get rid of.
They gotta go.
Like, how is that making you be a better person? Is that driving you closer to your goals and who you want to become and what you want to do? If they're holding you back, they're just anchors. You need to cut the rope and let those people go, because you're going here and they're not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're making the right move there. I mean, that's outside looking in from the very limited information I know, but in terms of like how to stay positive, I think, taking active steps to surround yourself with more supportive, more positive people, getting, and creating a circle of friends and supporters that always have your back.
Yeah.
My parents, the reason why I went the route that I did is because that's what was expected of me. Right. And whether I wanted to go against the grain or not, it was still like, I was almost like brainwashed, like, well, I'm supposed to go to college and I hate school, but I had to do it. And that's what I'm supposed to do. And you get a corporate job and you get your 401k and blah, 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 live your boring life. So I didn't really share with them too much what I was doing early on either. And honestly, it wasn't until just a couple years ago where my dad finally recognized that what I was doing was pretty cool. Because, I think his perspective, and maybe that's where my perspective came, where like, fitness isn't a real career. It's not, and it's just what somebody does on the side. It's some part-time job that you do with an overnight certification that you got, and you go and count somebody's reps in the gym. Right. But yeah, I think you got to get rid of those people, and you need to seek, the dreamers, not the naysayers. So create that circle.
Yeah, I started that. I left him actually months ago, so almost a year ago, and I moved into my own house and have my own space. I got a cat. I needed somebody to pour my love into, so I got a kitten. So it's just me and my cat. But it's really difficult. I try to stay plugged in to this group. It's amazing. I love everybody in it. And I love these masterminds. I really appreciate people like you coming on and encouraging us. I really do. It's nice to have that connection. So thank you again.
And if there's one thing I can say to the entire group, and it sounds like you've got an amazing group of people here, take advantage of it. I think there's so many people that join these groups and they do these little courses and they don't do shit, even though they have paid. Right. But sometimes there's gold laying right in front of you, and you're just not taking action on it. You're not utilizing it to the full extent. But if you did, you would get those wins, you would get that success, and that's creating that guarantee.
Yes.
The opposite is true with the opposite behavior too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a bar, y'all. That's a mad bar, y'all.
Right.
I appreciate that, Jeff. All right.
Thank
you, Yvonne. So we got time for two more, man. So I'm going to go to my guy, LaShawn, and my boy, John Dean. So Sorry we can't get to all of y'all, but you know, just for the sake of time, for the sake of Jeff's time, all right? So LaShawn, the mic is yours, my man. There you
Hi,
go.
Jeff. How's it
There we
going?
go. Good.
Good, good. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come share with us and to give us some of the steps that you had to take and to go through to get to the success that you're at right now. Just a little bit of a quick question. You know, I'm going through a little bit of a difficult time. This past Sunday, I lost my mom. She just passed away this past Sunday. And I'm dealing with this, trying to get through the Closer agency training and everything like that. And I got all this stuff that's hitting me at the same time. It's like I'm supposed to be trying to stay on schedule, and I started the agency, this group of people that are going through. It's like I started like 5 or 6 weeks behind everybody. And actually, I'm supposed to be doing some other stuff right now, but I thought that it was important to not only support Fernando, but to kind of see what your input would be as to how to deal with like the bereaving process and to take care of the things that I have to in order to get my mom's services squared away with her care providers, and to not lose focus, and to get back on track, and to pull my way through and not give up.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear that you lost your mom. It's a huge thing for most of us. I still have mine, and I feel very blessed, but that day's coming. It's not too far away. It happens to all of us. Sometimes it happens really young in our lives, but definitely want to honor your mom, you know, for sure. But that can, you know, when I work with so many different people, there's always a moment in life that if somebody comes to me and they're in a really dark place, something triggered that. Something traumatic or something that they let really impact them led them to where they're at today, which is a very bad place, very negative place, very broken place. And this could be that thing for you if you let it, right? So, because it's a very tragic, it's a sad thing. Nobody likes to lose a relative. Maybe it was a good thing for her, maybe it wasn't. But you have to, I think when you chose to be here and you said you're 5 to 6 weeks behind, use that as motivation to catch up. I'm sure this is a positive thing in your life, and there's a lot of hope and promise by being a part of this group. Take advantage of that more than ever right now, because this is a positive light in your life when there's a lot of darkness around you, right? Lean in towards that. Go towards the light. It's a bad analogy right now, but I think in your life you need to pursue that, because you can be consumed by that darkness if you're not careful. And so I think you need to make sure that you are leaning into these things that are going to add benefit to your life, that are going to lead to positive outcomes rather than negative outcomes. Because we can sit there and feel sorry for ourselves and have a whole bunch of negative self-talk that leads you down a very, very dark road that could lead to complete failure with this and bankruptcy and all sorts of negative things. Or you can do this in honor of your mom and make her proud and pursue your dreams and don't give up and keep going. So lean in towards that. Lean in towards the positive things in your life. Obviously take the time to honor your mother and do all those things, but don't let your life go to shit because of a loss of a loved one. That's what I would say.
I like that.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. I'm about to jump off. Thanks. Take it easy, guys.
LaShawn, thank you for your support, brother. Much love, and keeping you and the family uplifted in prayers, my man.
Absolutely. Thank you
man.
so
Have a
much.
nice
Take
day.
it
I'm
easy,
so
guys.
sorry to hear about your loss.
Sorry, LaShawn, get back at me if you can.
Yep.
Just remember,
Absolutely.
your mama would never want to see you crumble upon this.
Oh yeah,
She wanted to see you strive.
most definitely.
That's right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Hey, big bro, I dropped my number in the chat if
Amen.
you wanna hit me up too, bro. Okay.
So you got a great group, man. Take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We love,
Thank
we
you
love
so
you,
much,
LaShawn.
guys.
Much love, LaShawn.
Guys, too. Thank you so much.
All right, John. John D, my man. What's going
What
on,
up,
What
what
do
up,
you got for me?
Fernando? Hey, Jeff, it is amazing to have you on here. Really loved hearing your story. Particularly could relate to what you said about priming your morning, having a good ritual or routine. Yeah, I think that's really, really important. Starting your day off right is super, super wise, and it's going to affect everything. So my question for you was like, what kind of books would you recommend just on success general? Like what books have helped you out throughout your life in your journey towards entrepreneurial success, and what would you recommend?
Oh man, I could talk about books all day. So as part of my morning routine, I talk about the meditation, I talk about the writing. Reading is next. And sometimes I'll read before I write, and the reading will inspire the writing. Sometimes it depends on what mood I'm in. But there are some great ones out there, and some of them may sound really familiar. Atomic Habits is amazing. The Compound Effect is really, really good. Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Fantastic book. This actually may be very applicable to you guys as salespeople, but there's a book called Influence by Cialdini. What's his name? I think it's Robert Cialdini. That's a really, really good one. It's a little bit older, but I think there is an updated version of it, but that's a really, really good one as well. Helps you understand the psychology, the way people think, what inspires thought processes and decision-making. I've read so many books, but really the majority of the books that I've read have had more to do with personal development. And the reason why is because I recognized early on that maybe this was a part of me feeling like an imposter when I started and it just stuck. But I felt like I can't help other people if I can't help myself. So I need to become that person that is powerful enough, that has that personal development, that has my shit together, that my house is in order before I can speak to anybody else with any sort of confidence. And so, I think there's a lot to that, right? But I think it's a constant work in progress, and you should never give up on it. You should always be learning. And I think you need to be, that's what an element about 75 Hard, right? Is you need to read 20 minutes of nonfiction every single day. That's a fantastic habit. If you did that, you would go through multiple books per year. But I will say this about books, about reading books. Don't read a book to say that you've read it and just speed through it and get nothing out of it. Because most of the time we look back at the book like, oh yeah, I read that book. And there was you remember like one or two tidbits from it, and that's all you remember. But when you think about somebody writing a book, like if I actually do have plans to write a book next year, but if I were to write, like when I do that, it's going to be like everything I've learned that's being poured into those pages, like hundreds of thousands of dollars that I've spent on business coaches, on mentors, on masterminds, on entrepreneurial groups. And then all the other things, all my interaction, my experience that I've worked with other people poured into those pages. And that's what everyone else is doing when they're writing their books too. And there are some people that are professional authors, but usually not for nonfiction, right? But you will find some that have written multiple, but they're just pouring their wisdom into those pages. Holy shit, it's gold. Take advantage of that. So don't move on. I've adopted this principle. I don't know if it was Alex Hormozy or Brandon Poland that I learned this from, where they won't move on from a book unless they can teach it.
Ooh, wow.
That's a Sean Adams bar was right there too.
Wow.
There's so many different principles found within the pages of those books that are, and it could be, it's going to be different for each person, because one point might resonate with you. It may not resonate with anybody else, but for you, it was a game changer. And if you think like, oh yeah, that's a really cool thought, and then the next day, by tomorrow, you're like, oh man, what was that cool thing? I don't know, I'll have to read it again. And then you never do. right? So I think that you need to, and I think this is definitely Alex Hormozy, where he listens to it as he's reading it at the same time. And this helps him comprehend it a little bit more. Because I think actually seeing the words on the paper, there's something to that. And I think, listening to it is good too. And if you guys do listen to David Goggins' book, The Can't Hurt Me, I would definitely recommend the Audible version of that because he adds commentary to it.
Yeah, there's some special stuff in that one.
Yeah, that's a particularly special one. But
yeah, what's the name of it again?
Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
Yeah,
a really good one.
Very good. Yeah. But that's really about overcoming obstacles and never giving up. If anything, I mean, there's a lot of different nuggets in there, but it's a very powerful book. But yeah, just don't read books just to read books or to say, oh yeah, I've read that, I've read this, I've read that. Bullshit. Get value out of them. Extract the wisdom from those pages, incorporate it into your life before you move on. Maybe you're reading one book per year, but if you're extracting all that wisdom and you're incorporating that into your life, why would you need to do a whole lot more?
I love that.
So focus on those books, get as much out of it as you possibly can, and don't move on until you do.